Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Mr. Clerk, would you please take roll call?
Dave Abdallah.
Here.
Bill Bazey.
Here.
Robert Constant is absent. Lisa Hicks Clayton.
Here.
Denise Malinowski Maxwell.
Here.
Ray Muscat.
Here.
Tom Wenzel.
Here.
Madam Chair, you have a quorum.
Thank you. I'd like, in honor of veteran and first responder Damon Clayton, I'm asking his mother, Lisa Hicks Clayton, to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance tonight.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. Please be seated. At this time, I'd like to take a moment of silence for Damon Clayton, who passed away on February 2nd, and he is the son of Councilwoman Lisa Hicks Clayton. Thank you, everyone. Okay. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is agenda approval.
Madam Chair.
Councilwoman Hicks Clayton.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Move to approve the order of business, February 11th, 2020, regular meeting of the Dearborn Heights City Council as presented.
Support.
Supported by Councilman Abdullah. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next item on the agenda is approval of minutes. This is minutes from the regular meeting of January 28th, 2020.
Madam Chair,
Councilman Abdullah.
I move that we approve the minutes from January 28, 2020, regular meeting of the Dearborn Heights City Council as outlined in item 4A. Support.
Supported by Councilman Bazey. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next item on the agenda is public hearing and comment on agenda items. These are items that are on the current agenda tonight, and there is a 2-minute limit.
Council Chair, before we begin, I'd like the record to show that Robert Constance is in attendance now since he was called for absent.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, this is public hearing and comment on agenda items. You have 2 minutes. No comments? Okay. Next item on the agenda is fund transfers and current claims.
Madam Chair.
Councilwoman Hicks Clayton.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Move to approve the fund transfers and current claims 6-1 through 6-23.
Support.
Supported by Councilman Muscat. Is there any discussion?
Madam Chair,
Councilman Bazey?
a couple of questions. The first one is on item 6.2. It says artistic lawn service. There's two invoices in the amount of $2,650. What is that? It says court order on file and court ordinance.
Yeah, so those were tickets that were written for blighted properties. It escalated to a show cause hearing, and then at that point, it was issued court order by the judge to clean the properties at the owner's expense.
Okay, why did it go to that one particular company? There's no bids out for this one?
Well, we typically have always used the grass contractor for the court cleanups. We are going out for bid. Very soon I'll be bringing that to the agenda. But for our discussion during the season last year, we continued with artistic and with the understanding that we'd be going out for bid this early, well, midwinter, I guess.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Second item, last item, 6.8. This is for Director Selny. You explain this one. It says excess flow charges on item 6.8 for sewer disposal for $38,000. What is that excess flow charge? Is that typical for every month, or this is additional this month?
Excess flow. So that's flow greater than what is metered. So that is infiltration, rainwater, stormwater, those types of things. And on the downriver system, do they bill monthly? To the best of my knowledge, you do bill monthly on excess flow.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have.
Okay. Councilman Abdullah.
Well, I had questions on item 6.2 and 6.8, but he's already answered them. But I had another question on item 6.23. That's one with Otenwist, Tawil, and Schenk. And this is again 6.23. It's really more of a statement than a question, but we've talked about this at the last, one of the last meetings, is I'd like to, I believe that as a council, we should be involved in the different emails that are coming back and forth, especially in this particular case, because we've hired this particular law firm as a council, so that all of us are included, if we can, on the emails. But I'd also like to add on that, in addition to that, the mayor's attorneys, if you don't mind, Mr. Mayor, because we're putting out money nonstop on this type of stuff, and right now, as we know from the last meeting we had over $80,000 involved. Now we have another $15,860 to the attorneys that are on behalf of the city council. So I would like to be included myself, and I'm not speaking on behalf of other council people, but I'd like to be included in on those emails, where at least we're sent a copy of it. But in addition to that, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to publicly acknowledge that I'd like to be on those two, the ones that are coming and going to you. Because if we're going to be paying for that, we're going to have some sort of a system to making sure that everything is going in the right direction. Not as far as a lawsuit, but more importantly, that money's not being overspent.
If I might, through the chair, do you have a date when I can come and present my attorney bills? You indicated you would have a meeting, and I'm waiting for a date.
Well, procedure is for you to get your attorney approved by us, and then you submit your bills. You did not put in an item just to approve your attorney.
I thought you asked that you would have a committee of whole so we could talk about how I can get my attorney paid.
No, actually, what was stated is you needed to follow procedure according to the charter, which meant that you needed to bring it forward to us to be approved, and then you bring the billing afterwards. That's the sequence that we go in.
I'm getting a different interpretation from our corporation counsel.
I'm sorry, but that's the procedure according to charter.
Well, the procedure per charter is that either the mayor or the council can end up retaining special counsel.
Correct.
And that's specifically in it, and it doesn't have to be approved. When you do it, it doesn't have to be approved by the mayor. When the mayor does it, it doesn't have to be approved by you. Similar to all the assistant corp counsels, all the attorneys who come in, Mr. Roberts, who's here today, for example, I'm the one who makes those appointments, subject to the mayor approving those. That's the way it is in the charter. There's nothing that has to be done by the council. As a matter of fact, the council doesn't have any input into that. So
Actually, that's not the way the charter reads.
No,
It does
it
not.
actually is the way the charter reads.
I'm not going to argue it here at this time. We will address this. Go ahead.
So, counsel, I got a question then. Based on that particular, based on what you're saying, so the mayor can just come to us with just a bill and automatically we pay it without even knowing who he had hired ahead of time? No, because based on the way it happened the last time, we were just provided with a bill and then we were told to pay it. And according to the chair at the time, the protocol had not been followed, where we were told who he had hired at the time, and at the next council meeting, we'd approve whatever bill. So based on what you are saying, I don't want to use the words theory, because it's not a theory, you're saying you've read it in the charter. Based on that, he'd just come to us at the council meeting and say, here's a $30,000 bill, pay it.
Well, here's the issue.
My question is, do we have to be informed as to who he has hired ahead of time? That's my main question.
Not necessarily, but you ultimately still have control over the purse. And in terms of the reasonableness of the bill, it would still be something that would come over to you.
So it could arguably happen where we're the first time we are hearing that he has hired, law firm XYZ would be when we receive a bill. Can that conceivably happen?
That could conceivably happen. Of course, then you still have the check based on saying, we think that this bill is too high, or it's excessive, it's not reasonable, whatever it might end up being. All right? But that's the way it should be handled. And there's nothing in the charter that says that the mayor has to come to you first and then have it approved and then come back to you later. It can all be done in one meeting.
Council Chair?
Councilman Bazey?
Initially, when we picked our attorney, I mean, you, Mr. Miyake, you were the first one to oppose the attorney that we picked because of the fee, which is less than half the price that the attorney that the mayor picked. No, it was. I mean, we can go on record. You can see how many times you opposed it. You actually once spoke as a resident a few times. So it has to go in front of the council, and that's one of the things that we talked. You guys can go back to the tape, and you can see we asked for a resolution or something to go in front of the council and to state that, for that, especially for the fees that the mayor picked in a law office that has higher fees than we picked, So yes, it is, yeah, we do control the purse, but we also, it never came in front of us to approve the amount.
Well,
for the-
if I may, the difference between you and the mayor is that you, as a body, must make any decision that you make. If you recall, the first lawsuit was brought without any authorization by this body, okay? And the firm was hired without authorization from this body. And I sent a very long email about the problems with this, which we obviously don't need to go into. But that is a very significant difficulty. If you also recall, I did not oppose you hiring someone. I told you you had to do it in a certain way. And then ultimately, when you ended up getting some of my input, when Mr. Schenk was here, that was the last time that you ended up doing it, and that was upheld by the circuit court. So, you know, I'm not in a position where I'm opposing it based on a fee or anything else. But you know, there are certain procedures that need to be followed. So I understand, you know, what you're saying, Councilman, but I disagree respectfully because essentially the process is per the charter. It's just like, again, you have assistant corporation counsels, Mr. McCauley's firm, Seacrest Wardle, Cummings McClory, they do work, and technically they're considered to be appointed by me with the approval of the mayor. And so there's nothing that approves their contract. You just end up reviewing their bills to make sure that they are consistent and that they should end up being paid because they're reasonable. And again, if you have a problem with the mayor's bills with regard to that, you could do that. Obviously, Mr. Knappman doesn't appear like he's ended up submitting something. Maybe he submits something, and then you have a further discussion at it at a study session.
Council Chair?
Okay, we've got Councilman Muscat.
I think it behooves us to meet as a committee of the whole here in probably a closed meeting since it's dealing legally and lawsuits. I think this can be cleared up in probably a matter of minutes. And there's really no reason why we shouldn't meet to discuss this without having, delaying city council business here.
Okay, well, can we schedule it for next Tuesday then?
Well, I mean, you got other people want to speak, but that's just my opinion on it.
I
Councilwoman
concur
Hicks
with you,
Clayton?
and I want to piggyback on that, though. I will tell you, this has been long and drawn out, and I find it very disturbing that we are spending taxpayers' dollars on this, on all these legal fees. I mean, the reality is, and I've said this before, there's a legislative action taken by this body. By complying, this could have been resolved by now. It needs to be resolved. You know, we keep spending the taxpayers' money on these legal fees when that could have paid for the forensic audit. I mean, ultimately, and it could have been done. It could have been resolved. If there's nothing there, then there's nothing there. Let's clear it up. But instead, it's just being dragged on, and it's costing all of our taxpayers, and it affects yours, or could, it's not necessarily doing it now, but could potentially affect their city services. And I find that disturbing, and I'm sorry to be so bold in what I'm saying, but quite frankly, I'm kind of tired that it's to this point. I feel, as a council member and as the steward of the taxpayers' dollars, we have a responsibility. This needs to be taken care of so we can stop this wasteful spending.
Okay.
Chair.
Councilman Constant? Now come back.
Regarding item 623, I mean, so, yeah, this bill is for $15,860, and there's several repeats. There's probably 10 hours just as work reappeal. So, I mean, I agree with Councilwoman Hicks Clayton and Councilman Muscat. The audit of the audit, if we're going to have another auditing firm do the audit, the issue on the lawsuit and the appeal was the hiring of a law firm, for the law firm to secure the other auditing company, which doesn't make sense to me, but we've probably got that the taxpayers will have to pay close to $100,000 in legal fees already.
Council Chair,
Okay, at this point,
I believe a study session is.
we have, right now, we are looking at fund transfers and current claims. We're getting off track here. We need to keep focused on exactly what is in front of us.
So back to the original contention, can we make sure that we as a council are included in the ones that are public knowledge and the emails that are public knowledge forwarded over to us? Because I've not been getting them, at least I can speak for myself.
I've got them, and they have everybody's name on them.
No, not from an attorney. So if I'm skipped out somehow, I'd like to be added.
and I'm not getting
I can check to
mine.
make sure he's got the right address, because I do see everybody's name on them.
Yeah.
He does. You get them too. Bill's been getting them, so I apologize. Give me the address.
I'm referring like this one here, January 17th. Okay, thank you.
All right, any further discussion on fund transfers and current claims? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next item is reports from city officials. We have Treasurer Riley, winter tax due date extension.
Madam Chair.
Councilwoman Hicks Clayton.
Move that the City Council approve Treasurer Riley's request to waive the 3% penalty in all taxes paid and extend that date to February 18th due to the holiday. Is that
Support.
9A?
Supported by Councilman Abdullah. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next item is Assessor's Office, Kimberly Comer, request for permission for a combination of non-conforming lots.
Madam Chair,
Councilman Abdullah.
I move that we concur with Assessor's Office Kimberly Comer. Anna Phalange has submitted a request for a lot combination of two 20-front-foot lots to create one 40-front-foot lot that would be considered non-conforming in the Comfords Ford Road subdivision as outlined in item 9B.
Support.
Supported by Councilman Constant. Is there any discussion? All those in, go ahead.
Well, just for full disclosure, I'm going to be voting on this, and this is for the council. If I'm not allowed to vote, please let me know. I just wanted it for full disclosure. I've done business with Anna Phalange before, so if it's a conflict of interest, I will not vote.
Probably would be in your best interest
Yeah,
if there's a
abstain.
question.
Okay, then I'll recuse myself.
Okay, thank you. Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it.
Instead, he would recuse himself.
And Councilman Abdullah excused himself. Okay. Next item on the agenda is DPW Director Selmy, Water Department Equipment Purchase.
Madam Chair?
Councilman Abdullah.
I move that we concur with Director of Public Works John Selmy. Department of Public Works is requesting the purchase and authorized payment upon receipt of a 2020 Freightliner tandem axle chassis from Wolverine Freightliner in the amount of $98,345 and truck and trailer for the build-out of this dump truck in the amount of $57,800. The total cost is $156,000, and the funds for this truck have been allocated in the 2019-2020 Water Department capital outlay budget as outlined in item 9C.
Support.
Support. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next item on the agenda is DPW Director Selmy, Water Department Equipment Purchase. This is a separate piece of equipment from 9C.
Madam Chair,
Oops.
Councilman Constant?
I move we concur with our DPW Director, John Selmy, and authorize the purchase of one 2020 Caterpillar backhoe in the amount of $112,017 as outlined in 9D.
Support.
Supported by Councilman Bazey. Is there any discussion?
Council Chair?
Councilman Muscat?
I guess this would be for Mr. Selmy. Didn't we just buy a backhoe not too long ago?
Yes, we did. Yes, we did. Excuse me. Yes, we did in the last budget, and the department has 3 of them, and this will be replacing a
Okay,
2007
it's a
backhoe.
all right.
So in the next budget, we'll probably ask for one more, then we'll be a little bit more modernized.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next item on the agenda is DPW Director Selmy. This is approval to dispose of used equipment.
Council Chair.
Councilman Muscat?
I move the council approve the disposal of the listed items as outlined in 9E.
Support.
Support.
Supported by Councilman Bazey. Is there any discussion?
Sure.
Councilman Bazey?
So when is Director Selmy? Are those going up for auction as stated?
Yes.
What month? Is it soon or?
Yeah, so right now we use a auction service with the other 2 or 3 approvals that the council has given us. And the sales have been slow, so we still have all this equipment on our lot. So we're gonna reach out to either, there's 2 auto auctions around Midwest down in Redford, and then I believe there's one down here in Brownstown. And we'll reach out with them and try that route going forward. So soon as we get approval, get all the titles in place, and then we'll take them down.
Can we flag this at the next budget meeting, with the amount of money that we got for these, that?
Yeah, I think how they would go on a revenue side, and then we would be able to see there, like, for assets sold or something like that.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. Any further discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the ayes have it. Next item is Fire Chief Brogan, budget transfer.
Madam Chair.
Councilwoman Hicks Clayton.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to concur with Fire Chief David Brogan and approve the transfer request as outlined in 9F.
Support.
Supported by Councilman Bazey. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the ayes have it. Next item is Fire Chief Brogan, update to purchase server for fire department.
Madam Chair,
Councilman Abdullah.
I move that we concur with Fire Chief David Brogan, requesting permission to purchase a PowerEdge R740 server for the fire department. The cost is $4,693 to be paid from capital outlay upon receipt, as outlined in item 9G.
Support.
Supported by Councilman Bazey. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the ayes have it. Next item on the agenda, again, Fire Chief Brogan, permission to pay rope rescue training deposit.
Council Chair,
Councilman Muscat.
I move council allow Chief Brogan to pay $4,925 as a deposit to host a rope rescue training program being hosted by the Dearborn Heights Fire Department. This will be paid from our training account and will be 100% reimbursed by State Fireworks Fund as outlined in 9H.
Support.
Supported by Councilman Bazey. Is there any discussion?
Madam Chair?
Councilman Abdullah?
I just had a quick question for the chief. On there, it says other area departments will be attending this course, and I'm just curious, along with several members of the Dearborn Heights Fire Department, do they pay us anything? I mean, I know we're getting, some state funds on this, but do they pay anything for?
Well, the way the state fireworks funding training works is you have a host department, and then you're required to have at least three different departments participate. And so we open up to the Dearborn Heights members first, and then it goes onto a website, and other area departments that are interested sign up for the class through the website. So all of the courses, the instructors is paid for by the state, but we have to make sure that we have at least 3 other departments there.
Okay, thank you very much.
Madam Chair?
Councilman Wenzel?
Chief's up there. Can you give us a brief description of what this training is?
It's a lot of like sometimes they refer to if a tree trimmer gets hurt or a lineman or someone like that. There are different ways that we can secure ropes to like we don't have a lot of high angle rescue like from say a high rise building, but we do have things where someone could be in trouble where you need to rig up harnesses and use the ropes to help secure the patient to get them to the ground.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the ayes have it. Next item, Fire Chief Brogan, permission to purchase forcible entry props.
Madam Chair.
Councilwoman Hicks Clayton.
Move to concur with Fire Chief David Brogan and grant permission to purchase the multi-force door and the crush door from Firehouse Innovations Corporation. The cost is $9,880 to be paid from training account payable upon receipt as outlined in 9A. 9I.
Supported by Councilman Abdullah. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the ayes have it. Next, under ordinances and resolutions, we have DPW Director Selmy, Ordinance H-20-01, Amendment to Chapter 35, Water and Sewer.
Madam Chair,
Councilman Constant?
I move that we concur with our DPW Director, John Selmy, and approve the proposed amendment to our Code of Ordinances, Chapter 35, Section 35-5, the definition section as outlined in 11A.
Support.
Supported by Councilman Muscat. Is there any discussion?
Madam Chair?
Councilman Bazey?
So Director Selmy, with this, is this due to the lead issue on some of the homes that were reported? Is that why this amendment?
Yes, sir. Actually, I'll answer your question in a second, but before I forget, can we make the motion to state that the first reading?
Yes.
It wasn't
Okay,
in my cover letter, and I apologize.
That's what it should say.
It should, yeah.
Be read for the first time.
That's correct.
Be read for the first time.
And then to answer your question, yeah, so as we go forward with this lead line replacement program, so we are going to be entering on private property, and the current ordinance was basically kind of silent to that, so we just wanted to clean that up. Mark Roberts is here. He's the one that drafted the language, so if you have more specific questions, he's happy to answer.
So based on this ordinance amendment, are you going to alert the residents prior to obviously going into their area to let them know, like, hey, we're going to be doing the work? How much in advance notice are you giving the residents?
Well, according to the regulatory authority, it is required by the act that we give them 45 days before we enter onto their property to start this project. We'll be receiving bids tomorrow, hopefully at the next council meeting. We'll bring those bids to you to award, and at that point, once they're awarded, we'll put them on notice, and then we'll start this process.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Chair.
Councilman Abdullah?
So Director Salmi, since you're up there, my question was similar to Councilman Bazzi's, but that's been answered. But since you're up there, and I know there's been a lot of calls from different residents, and of course things online, social media, papers, the whole 9 yards, in regards to the lead paint issue throughout the state, really, not just in our city. And a lot of people have had
Lead pipe or paint? Okay, because yeah, the issue's
back to my business, lead paint,
I know.
lead pipes.
I knew that.
With that being the case, since you're here, if you don't mind, can you give the residents a general update as far as what the plans are for our city at this particular point and where we're at in that process?
Sure. So the council approved the 2021 or 1920 budget recently. In that was funds allocated to go out and replace the NOAA lead services that the city has based on historical records, which is roughly 188 of those. I'm sure as we go along with other projects, we'll probably be discovering more. So of those 188, we are out to bid right now to hire contractors to do the replacements, either full entire replacement or some that have already been replaced to the property line in earlier projects within the city. So we had a pre-bid meeting last Wednesday. We had about 15 to 18 contractors show up. We went over our bid specs, told them what we were looking for, the process. So tomorrow the bids are due. We're going to evaluate them. Myself, a couple of water supervisors, and Dan Brooks from Wade Trim. It's a QBS type selection, so it's a qualification-based selection. We want contractors that have experience doing this work. Also because of the fact that we are going into people's homes now, where the municipalities have never done that before, outside to change a meter. But we're going to go in there, we got to put the copper line 18 inches or to the meter. So, but our spec says to the meter, so there's no interpretation by contractors trying to charge extras and stuff like that. So it's a brief snapshot of where we're at.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Council Chair?
Councilman Muscat?
Before we move on, since we're on ordinances and resolutions, I don't see where the 5G...
Okay, Councilman, we're going to keep it to just what's on the agenda, what we're discussing. That can be brought up
Okay, thank
later.
you.
Is there any further discussion?
It's supposed to be on.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the ayes have it. Next item on the agenda is business license renewals. This is for O'Grady's Irish Pub located at 3651 South Beach Daily, and also for Famous Auto Center located at 25996 Van Born.
Madam Chair.
Councilwoman Hicks Clayton.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Move to approve the business license renewals as outlined in 13A.
Support.
Supported by Councilman Constant. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next item is comments from council members. Councilman Bazzi asked to go first.
Madam Chair, got a few questions. The first one, this topic keeps coming up, the Parkland park lights. I keep getting emails and calls. The residents are very concerned about their safety with the lighting, and I don't know if this is the same area that we pay $225,000 or $250,000 for a bathroom. So we need to know status as why don't we have lighting in that area that we just spent $250,000 for a bathroom.
I'll take that one on. So the last council meeting, we spoke about that there was a miscommunication between DTE and the city. DTE admitted that they had not been charging the city for 3 months. It popped up into their system. They shut the power off to the meter. So it has taken, I don't know, 6 weeks or so to get to the right person. I reached out to our rep after the last meeting. She got me in contact with another person, our building maintenance supervisor, spoke with him. The power is back on as of Monday. They're resetting the timer. They reset the timer. There's a problem with the program that obviously the power was on yesterday, they worked on it today, so hopefully tomorrow or Thursday at the latest.
Thank you.
And just a heads up, DTE will be sending the city a bill, but they can only go back 1 year by rule or law. So, but it's been about 3 years since they sent the city a bill, and to get through the hoops, to get to the right person, to get the power turned on, is basically where we're at.
Okay, so I'll let the residents know. Thank you.
You're welcome.
2 more items. The second item, I brought this up at the last council meeting with the FEMA grant. I did some more checking. So this grant, the second grant that was awarded to Dearborn Heights, even though we haven't exercised our rights to or contacted the residents to which homes that we're going to purchase. So the state has not heard anything, and the mayor made a statement at the last meeting that we're not going to use this grant, even though the prior council before us approved that amount or approved to go with the FEMA grant. And since I've been on the council for the last, little over 2 years, I have not seen anything by the mayor's office that we're not going to use that FEMA grant. So I guess myself and a lot of residents that got a hold of me since I mentioned it at the last meeting, is the mayor, are we going to use the FEMA grant, or is your intentions to contact the state and to say that we're not going to use that FEMA money? Or, I mean, what's the status? I think the residents need to know. And you talked about closing fees, and I was told from the last, it's going to be the same as the last FEMA grant that we used.
I'll let my assistant respond to that, but I gave all of you a response in writing.
Councilman Bazey, I don't know who you're speaking to at the state, but the state has been notified that we're not moving forward with the grant. It's not the same. It's a different year. I gave it before. I know you said you have somebody at the state you're talking to. So if you want to ask that person to call the state hazard mitigation officer, he can tell you the exact answer, because our answer hasn't changed.
I'm sorry. Okay, like I said earlier, the council did not approve for this to be, for us to abandon this grant. So I don't know who gave the authorization to you or anybody from the administration to abandon this FEMA grant.
Okay, so the state of Michigan, the city of Dearborn Heights, and the United States of America operate in 3 separate branches of government. You guys do approve that money, but the mayor is allowed to say what he's going to do with that money. That money doesn't have to be used.
Well, the council approved that,
right?
Though, over 2 years ago.
did.
So why didn't it go back in front of the council to state that, no, we're not going to use this grant money?
It was brought up to the council on numerous occasions that we were having issues with
I haven't seen a resolution or anything.
You don't
in
need a
front of us.
resolution. You don't.
Well, okay.
Council Chair.
Madam Chair,
one
I have
more.
a question, though, parliamentary procedure, because I want to know about that. When the council, I'm sorry, may I have the floor?
Okay,
for just a
I have one more question.
Is yours in
Yeah,
regards to the
same
same
thing,
thing?
yeah.
Councilman Abdullah was next, and then I'll have you.
So, Madam Chair, actually, this is for the mayors. I could give you, I'm sorry?
This is our money.
Okay. So I could give you specific names. I had a resident contact me in regards to this, and I could give you specific names.
Point of order back there, please.
And I asked if I could use their names, and they said I could.
Okay.
One of the persons that I spoke with is Jessica Eleff, E-L-E-F-F. She's with FEMA, and she says that yes, it is, the FEMA grant is definitely still available. And then she pointed me out eventually to Matt Schnepp,
Yes.
who's with the Recovery Unit Manager at the Emergency Management and Homeland Security Division, Michigan
Yes.
State Police.
We
Yes.
all know him. Yes.
I'm sorry, okay. And I spoke with him. He says they're pretty much similar, this particular grant and the last grant that we used to, okay, I'm just quoting him. So, just allow me to speak if you don't mind. And he said the grant is still active, still available to us to be used. I was very, very concerned, quite honestly, when I heard, and this is based on, my business experience, real estate business experience, when we were told at the last council meeting that this particular FEMA grant was not used to pay off some residents, and I understand it's $1 million something, so they could pay off, I don't know, 8, 10, who knows, whatever residents. But I was told that the reason this was turned down is because there's closing costs that would have to be paid by the residents. And even if there's closing, and as I said at the last meeting, even if there's closing costs to be paid by the residents, hypothetical $3,000 to $4,000 to $5,000 to $6,000, every resident in that particular area would probably, I just presume, would love to be able to take on this grant and be able to get out of their bad situation with the flooding. With that being the case, both people, I'm giving you names that I spoke with, and the mayor's saying he knows Matt Schnapp, is saying the FEMA grant is still available, but after August, it's gone. August 31st, is that what I believe he told me?
Right, okay, so we notified the state in October. We did notify Matt Schnapp, and there has been conversations
That you want it
with
or
him
that we don't want it?
that we can't do that, and it's more
Why?
than just that. Thank you. I would really appreciate, because every time I try to explain anything, I get gavelled. I keep being told that we're going to have a study session on this, and we don't. I would love to have a study session, because what seems to be happening is you're having a conversation with Matt Schnapp. If you and I and Matt Schnapp would sit down, you would hear the same thing, but you're asking in particular things that when I'm saying, it's almost like a telephone thing. I did speak to
Let's
Matt.
stick to the subject
And it
here.
is different. Well, yes, please.
Can I
because-
Excuse me, it's point of order.
Okay.
Right, there you go.
Let's just-
Could I ask for permission on her behalf to allow her 4 to 5 minutes to explain this to us? Because this is very pertinent. I'd like to
Oh,
hear
yeah,
it.
of course.
Okay, go ahead, Chrissy. Thank you.
All right, so again, what I was gavelled on last week was that it's more than just the closing costs. There's these things with the FEMA costs, anytime these people were paid out, it goes to that, and they have to pay that back. Before, we weren't gonna, initially we were told whatever they used that money for, as long as it went towards their house and they could show, it was fine. This last grant, there was $200,000 that they didn't approve because somebody put in a new washer that wasn't approved, a new dryer. There was more residents from this grant now that are going to have to prove that they spent FEMA money in 2014 and they spent FEMA money a couple years ago. They're not going to be able to do that, and if they are, it's different criteria. Washers and dryers aren't covered. Drywall isn't covered, or drywall is covered, but screws aren't. There's many things. So these people that have gotten $40,000 or $65,000 have to pay that back, or that takes off the value of the house.
Okay, so when you're saying closing costs, then you're referencing
Closing costs
that a
in
potential,
addition.
let's use hypothetical numbers, a potential owner of a property that was going to get $100,000 from FEMA, if they had received in 2014,
Right.
$40,000 towards repairs of damage from a flood, you're stating to me that they would only get 60 now?
No, what I'm stating to you is they have to prove with receipts, not giving me something their insurance gave, but they have to prove with receipts that they went through everything and paid for everything.
Okay, but if that's the case, at the worst case scenario, we turn in an account for one particular resident, and they're turned down based on the facts that they don't have enough receipts, or they haven't spent enough, or whatever it is. Worst case scenario, they have nothing, but they started with nothing anyway, so why not go forward with this? I'm still not understanding, honestly.
Well, why don't we?
Go ahead.
We'll take another
Please
look at this.
recognize, please.
But there were, some of these requirements were not in the first grant. I've had some.
He told me it was similar, according to Mr. Schnapp.
Okay, let's be recognized here. We're all getting out of order.
Apologize.
Thank you. Councilman Muscat?
I got a few things.
I was waiting for follow-up.
I wasn't done with, I have one more item.
Okay, Councilwoman Hicks Clayton had follow-up.
That's fine.
I
That's
apologize.
Thank you. Again, I would still like the clarification on parliamentary procedure. My understanding was that motion is made by the council, which I believe was April 2018, and it would have to come back to us because council approves to accept the grant. However, I think it's two, what we need to talk about is what is in the best interest to benefit our residents. These are people who live through flooding. There's financial, emotional stress involved on these families. If we can bring them relief, we should. And three, because of this information and everybody wants to understand and has questions, certainly having a study session and bringing those players in from the state would be impactful.
Okay, thank you. Councilman Bazio just told me he was not
I have one
finished.
more item, last item. I was looking at our charter, one of section 5.9. I noticed that we have obviously a lot of commissions that was appointed by the mayor, approved by the council. There's one in here that is in particular that we don't have, that the Public Safety Commission. I'd like for the mayor and his administration to look at this, see if we can have something on this as soon as possible. And that's due to a lot of concerns, a lot of phone calls, and as you can see here, Mayor, a lot of residents here that I've probably gotten a lot of calls from, most of them, and also emails about the incident that happened at the City Hall. So I don't know if the police chief or somebody's going to address that issue before every resident gets up here and says something about it. I don't know if that was a plan from the mayor or the police chief.
But I can do that.
First off, I want to thank everybody for showing up and redressing government, which is your constitutional right to do so. We need to know how you feel as the police department, what's important to you, the things that happen. We service 20,000 calls for service a year, and obviously in this situation, it's very impactful to the community by the members here. We want to do better. We want to help you out. I can't really go into the particulars of the investigation, being that there was an arrest made, but we are here, and if there's some type of commission that wants to get started or whatever the case may be, we're more than willing to work with the community to help us become better, to serve you better.
Thank you, Chief. And that's one of the things that, like I said, you know, we'd like to get this commission started since it's been in the charter forever, and something that, you know, was mentioned in the past, that we can get better, I guess, communication between the police department and the residents.
Well, we're striving very hard to do that.
Yep.
As you know, you've probably read in the papers, the policing industry in and of itself, we're having problems getting employees, and this isn't just particular to our community, it's throughout the United States. We've hired quite a few new officers, and they're highly motivated. We've instituted some great programs with the police department. We now have school resource officers, things of that nature, and we do want to work with the community, some of the religious groups, whatever the case may be, so that we can serve the community better. So I more than welcome that.
Thank you, Chief. And you know, I mean, there was two things that I've gotten calls on. One is that one incident, you know, I just mentioned, and the other one, others that couple residents actually went to the station, tried to file a police report, and whoever was there refused. So, I mean, that's something I don't know if you're aware of. So that's why, I mean, we need better communication. So if a resident that has an issue that needs something, that it doesn't stop with just one person, that it should be able to go up, you know, the chain of command.
Yeah, I honestly don't know what incident you're talking about right off the top of my head, but we do have, any resident can come in and make a formal complaint about something that they feel was done inappropriately, they were wronged, whatever the case may be. There's an actual complaint form that we will give you to fill out. We will investigate it. We investigate all complaints. We will try to get back to you with we will get back with you with the results of that investigation. I don't want anybody to feel encumbered, scared, whatever the case may be, to make a complaint with the police department. A lot of times these specific issues as they come up may just be a matter of discord or something we need to resolve so people understand. I don't expect you all to know how the laws of arrest work or whatever the case may be. That's our job. But we want to inform you so that you understand why we do what we do sometime. So please, you know, you can contact my office. If this commission gets set, whatever the case may be, we want to work with the residents of Dearborn Heights to serve you better.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have Councilman Muscat?
Oh, go ahead, you were first.
Councilman Muscat's been waiting for a while.
Yeah, in regards to the chief. You want to go ahead?
Go ahead.
Okay. So, Chief, what is the criteria? Because I did have an incident where I spoke with somebody, and I instructed him, and I made a call to somebody within the department who was taken care of right away where a police report was done. What is the criteria? And I'm just trying to learn here. What is the criteria for the willingness or non-willingness for a police department to write a report or not write a report. In other words, if I go in there and it may be something stupid or dumb, but I just want to file a report about that particular incident. What is the criteria for saying, yes, you can write one, or no, you can't?
Well, there may be a case where certain items may need to be documented, where it's not necessarily a complete police report because it's not a criminal incident that took place. A person may just want to document, but they don't want to follow through with prosecution. There's a multitude of things that can go on. But we write a considerable amount of police reports. We don't have problems writing them. And we do so to investigate crimes and forward that information to the courts or prosecutors, whatever the case may be, investigators, so that we can follow up on criminal matters.
Thank you. Chair, I have a follow-up question. I'm sorry, if I may.
Sorry,
follow up?
okay, go ahead.
Okay, just real quick. And I think it'll be good because there's so many people here, they might want to know this. Because there's an allegation that's made, what is your protocol? Do you put the person on admin leave and investigate? Not that you need to tell us the results necessarily right now, but what is the protocol? And then as far as training issues and disciplinary, and then what is your training for your officers for people with disabilities like autism or mental health?
Well, our officers, just to get hired as a police officer with the City of Dearborn Heights, they go through a 16-week academy. We require a 2-year degree or equivalent experience working as another police agency. So there's a multitude of training that goes in there, which part of that is covered in the academy of itself. The officers go through a significant amount of in-service training that's required by the state, as well as additional training that they can put in for on their own. So there's a significant amount of training, and most of our officers have also chosen to utilize the aspect the city will pay for their education forward on to whatever university, college they're going to go to get degrees and so forth. We do have a policy in place. We have recently began an accreditation process with the Michigan Association of Chiefs of Police to revamp our rules and regulations, which there is a policy specifically in there that addresses the ability to, or how to assess and try to ameliorate differences with people with mental health issues. The biggest problem with that we run into, obviously, is recognizing those individuals and being able to ascertain those potential deficiencies as they occur.
So again, the first part of the question, though, was about, you have a standing allegation, correct? And what is your protocol, though?
Our standing allegation in regards to, like if somebody makes a complaint with the department?
If somebody files a complaint and said there was, I hate to use the word, but police brutality, something was out of order, what do you do?
Well, we have a standard procedure that the complaint would have to be filed. We would look into it, start an investigation into the matter, and it's going to be based upon the degree or severity of the complaint. There's a different level of, and I don't have it in front of me to obviously refer to verbatim, but there's a different level of way we handle things for an officer that's involved in, for example, a fatal shooting as opposed to some type of allegation of assault or something of that nature.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Muscat.
Getting back, and I don't want to beat this subject down, but I also talked to the same people in the state as Councilman Abdullah did, and the grant is good till August, but we can extend it for another year according to Matt Schnepp, okay? And I'm in the same feeling as the councilman there about we should let the homeowners say if they want it or not. Want to sell your house? Fine. You don't want to sell it? Stay here fighting. But the last time we were here, we heard something about investors may want to come and buy those homes. And I don't think that's a good idea. These investors coming in, buying these homes dirt cheap, let's say dirt cheap, and then rent them out. And then when the next FEMA grant comes up because they're flooded so much, they make the $60,000, $70,000 on a home. I don't like that idea. I want the homeowners to be made whole. These people are the ones that deserve this money. So let them, we can apply for this to extend it another year, hold meetings with these 9 homes and see what they want, what they're willing to pay for, just to get out from being flooded every time somebody walks down a sidewalk and spits on the ground, they get it in their basement. I want them to be saying yes or no, not us. But we as a council accepted a bid, and I don't think anybody should be able to override that. Nobody should be able to override that. I remember a mayor in Taylor was almost found contempt of court for not accepting a bid that council approved, a grant that their council approved. We approved a grant. Let's at least, and I'm not saying it's going to go to a lawsuit, but let's give the people who own the homes the opportunity to accept it or decline it. That's a simple thing. And the other thing that I want to bring up is a study session about the fees for the attorney for the mayor. We need to take care of that immediately. We owe it to ourselves and to the mayor to at least discuss it. That's the second. Number 3, I was under the belief that we were going to have the 5G ordinance back on for the first reading today. I'm very disappointed it's not. We're wasting time. We're taking our own ability away from ourselves to control this. This is a very important thing that we need to do to protect ourselves. And one more, and I'd like to ask, if possible through the chair, to ask our treasurer, do we have a financial advisor?
Yes.
And who is it?
Regarding bonding? Or?
Yeah, just a financial advisor on anything that we do.
Well, we do have one for bonding. We have a separate one for the pension funds that result in...
Okay, that's good. Okay, thank you.
Councilman, I'd like to address your 5G issue. The reason it wasn't on this agenda is because it was past the deadline. It will be on in 2 weeks. It was beyond the deadline, but we will be bringing it on to the agenda in 2 weeks from today.
I'm a little disappointed. We've walked things on before, and I think that was very important for the whole city, so that's the way I feel. So we'll leave it at there, and thank you for allowing me my comments.
Okay, no problem.
Madam Chair.
Councilwoman Hicks Clayton.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Real quick, I wanted to, this could be a little difficult. As some of you may know, my son passed away this past week. And I want to talk briefly. I appreciate, by the way, you honoring him with a moment of silence, Madam Chair. I do want to thank, there's so many people to thank that I'm not going to get it correct, but the department heads that came, the city council members that came, the residents, I see so many that came, the overwhelming support at a very difficult time, probably my darkest hour. So I thank you for that support, because sharing your stories and sharing your support gave me a little more hope. But what I do want to do, real quick, and I also want to thank Congresswoman Tlaib, who spoke from the Congress floor today, and she shared my son's story. And I just want to say, he was a veteran. He served in Afghanistan. And when he came back from Afghanistan, he said he was damaged, which breaks a mother's heart. But he did everything he could to try to serve the community since that time. He was a firefighter. He volunteered a lot in the community to help others. He played for the Michigan Warrior hockey team, which is made up of veterans that do charity hockey games to help others who are suffering from bad situations or circumstances or events. I'm very proud of my son for who he became in his short life of 28 years. But what I do want to tell you, because this is for the first responders or anybody, because even first responders and our veterans and anybody can suffer from a traumatic situation that changes and alters you in a way that you may not be able to help yourself. What I want to tell you is it's okay to ask for help. The bracelet I wear, and someday I might take it off or I might not, I'm going to share with you today. I encourage you to share it with others, because one family, one loved one is too many. The 1-800-273-TALK, 1-800-273-TALK, or you can text 741-741. And again, it's okay to ask for help because you don't have to suffer alone. My son was a fighter. He tried to fight for others, to help others, but in the end, he couldn't help himself. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Clerk?
Quick couple things about the upcoming March 10th election. The absentee ballots have been mailed out. If you have not received it, by Thursday and you requested it, please call our office, 313-791-3432. We will arrange to issue a replacement ballot if it's been lost in the mail or you just never got it. Please do not wait. Call us immediately so we can make those arrangements and get that taken care of for you. Also, we have petitions available at our office for the treasurer, unexpired term of the treasurer, which would end on December 31st, 2021. There's information posted outside my office. There's something on our website under the elections. So those that may be interested in filing for that position, please make note of that. And once again, you can call regarding that if you don't find any information on the board or on the election website and you need more information, 791-3432. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
Madam Chair?
Mayor?
Two items. One is a rather historical event took place last Wednesday, but the first meeting of the Women's and Girls Commission took place, and the group is very excited. I expect some very good things to come out of that commission. And the second thing, but during the Flint crisis, and I believe this was about 3 years ago, I brought before the city council, and it was adopted, to enter an agreement with AquaSite. And what was so important about that is AquaSite does what I call, like, sports teams now use analyticals. And AquaSite is an analytical for a water department. And so what it did was it tracked degradation and quality of water throughout the city. And so most of the communities around here, when they test for water, it's pass, fail. But this particular group would watch, and maybe you get a 95%, and then it would drop to 87, and it might go to 76. That would trigger in our water department that we need to start looking at why the quality is dropping, and not wait till it fails. And so we've had this particular service, plus it also assists us in finding water loss. So it had many benefits to it. I was notified that starting February 1st, and I had talked more than once with Sue McCormick, who is the Great Lakes Water Authority chairwoman, about offering this service to all the communities that are in the Great Lakes Water Authority. And I was notified that they now do that. So no longer will the city of Dearborn Heights have to pay separately as of February 1st for this particular service, but now it is being extended to all 171 communities that are in the Great Lakes Water Authority. So I thank the council for taking that forward step in electing to bring this service to Dearborn Heights, and I want to thank Sue McCormick and the Great Lakes Water Authority for seeing what a benefit this is to all of the region and now having a contract with them, and it'll be included in the price. But I'm happy to say we had it first.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other, Councilman Wenzel?
First, I'd like to honor all the veterans we have in the audience by having all the veterans stand up, please. Any veterans out there? Thank you for your service. And just a reminder that coming up on February 19th at the Annapolis High School Auditorium, there will be a special meeting with the Army Corps of Engineers about the Ecorse Creek flooding issue. Want all residents concerned, have any questions, show up for this. It's February 19th at 6 p.m. at Annapolis High School. Very important that you show up if you have any questions for this, or just to learn about what Ecorse Creek is all about and how the drainage system works. And also I'd like to give a quick update on our Warren Valley Golf Course. We currently have 3 state-of-the-art golf simulators up and working. This allows us to have year-round lessons on golf, private parties utilizing the simulators, which is a lot of fun. The golf club has, the revenue for the month of January has gone up $12,000 from 2019 to this past month of January 2020. So that's a significant increase. And we've doubled the event bookings in 2019 from 2018. And we're looking at the upcoming year, mapping out our plans for improvements on the golf course in 2020. And is currently, I think it's officially under the Recreation Department, the golf course is now. So we have a lot of good things planned for the golf course, and hope everyone makes an effort to go out there and check it out this year. Thank you.
Thank you.
Council Chair, just
Councilman Muscat.
to piggyback on that Warren Valley Golf Course, you could also have golf leagues with those simulators. Okay, and they can pick any course they want to play in the world. So, a lot of these guys who want to stay in shape could actually bring their teams out and have a league on a simulator. So, just to add that in.
Very cool.
Okay, anyone else?
Madam Chair.
Councilman Constant.
The ordinance that the experts at Seacrest Wardle drafted, I know that when it first came before the council, there was some discussion, well, we don't want the new technology, the 5G, and I think it was explained the problem is we don't have much of a choice. So I'd like to see us get that ordinance drafted in place so we have some control. And my heart really goes out to Councilwoman Clayton. I had met her son and talked to her son, and let's all remember her in our thoughts and our prayers. And I really applaud her for having the courage to speak up and mention what people might do who are suffering.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any further comments? Councilman Wenzel?
The kind of piggyback what Councilman Constant said, I can feel for Councilwoman Hicks Clayton. I lost a daughter too, and it's very hard, and I really got to hand it to her for taking care of business and standing up, and I was proud of you at the funeral. You played it really well. You did a really good job, and I'm really proud of you, Lisa.
Thank you.
Thanks. Okay, any other council comment? Okay, at this time, I will open it up to public announcements.
John Riley, Treasurer for the City of Dearborn Heights. I would like to remind the residents and taxpayers of Dearborn Heights that the winter tax bills are due by Tuesday, February 18th, 2020. They can pay them here at City Hall Monday through Thursday between 8 and 5. They can mail them in the envelope provided, or they can put them in an envelope and put them in the drop box outside of City Hall. Also, Dearborn Federal Savings Banks take payments at their branches in Dearborn Heights. The summer and winter 2019 taxes are only payable to Dearborn Heights through the end of February. By law, in March, the taxes can only be paid to Wayne County. So at that point, the delinquent taxes will be turned over to Wayne County for collection. So if you have any questions, please feel free to call the Treasurer's Office at 313-791-3410. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public announcements?
Hello, Council Chair and Mayor. Just wanted to touch on a couple of upcoming programs. First off, tomorrow, Wednesday, February 12th at 6:30 p.m. at Carroll County Library. Millinery. That's a new word. I've not heard that word before. It's a new word for me. Expert Gina Conti will be discussing her artistic headwear. Her work has been spotlighted at trunk showings at Nordstrom's, and 13 of her hats are featured in the prestigious Kentucky Derby hat exhibit. So that should be intriguing. Next, February 18th at 7 p.m. at Carroll County Library, a panel will be discussing the climate crisis. Join Florence Schnebel and journalist Michael Betzold as we discuss what can be done to help make a long-term difference for future generations. And on a sadder note, Bernice Lazat, a long-term volunteer at JFK Library, recently passed. For a long time, she helped sort materials and made the library a better place for her efforts. Her baked goods and friendly demeanor will be missed. We plan to add her to the Wall of Honor at Carolyn Kennedy for her efforts. That is all for now. Thanks for your time, and see you at the library.
Thank you. Do we have any other public announcements for the community?
I was not a resident, but I am a good friend of Lisa's, and I didn't know your son had passed, but I certainly expressed my sincere appreciation for him and for you, and I've known you for a long time, and just a great person, and a person who should be measured in greatness in terms of how much you give and not how much you have. I'm here because I'm close to a family who was involved in an incident, as you alluded to earlier when you were talking to the chief of police.
Okay, this is public comment on announcements.
This is announcements, so I'm just announcing that I'm here.
Oh, no, that's the next.
I like it.
You did a great job.
That's the best one yet.
That is the best, yeah.
That's a good one, but don't go too far because you might be up.
I guess we go to the
Well, no, this is, okay, do we have any community announcements left? We have this lady here. This is announcements in regards to our community.
Yes, it's really an announcement. This is Nancy Breyer, and first of all, we had our last South Dearborn Heights Civic Association meeting on the 22nd of January. Pretty well attended, one of our best meetings ever, and I'd like to thank our our deputy police chief, who did an excellent job. I learned so much more that I never knew, and we'd love to have you anytime again. We also had our fire chief, Mr. Broden, there, and he was very informative. And we had Lee Gavin was there, and then we had our own gentleman who does Neighborhood Watch. This was a first responder meeting, and these men all do excellent jobs and should be very well commended. And thank you again for your appearance at that meeting. I want to announce our next one. I want everybody to put on their calendar February 27th, which is the fourth Thursday of the month. Our meetings are at the admin building for the Westwood Community School District, which is at South Beach Daily at 3335 South Beach Daily, 7 to 9. The next meeting will spotlight our city clerk, Walter Pershevich, who will explain this election to us and any questions we might have. Plus, the superintendent for Westwood Community School District will also explain the $3 million that they are asking for. It's a sinking fund, which means it can only be used for a specific purpose, and it's to help the schools and maintain and repair the buildings. So that will be our highlight prior to the election, since it concerns the election. We're looking for anybody else that would like to speak anytime, and please give me a call on that matter. And one more little thing for Lisa. I know that there was an eagle in your neighborhood. But did you know that Friday through Sunday there was a special moon this month? I think you have some signs going on there.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, any further public announcements? This is announcements in regards to the community. Okay, at this time, I will open it up to public comment. I ask you step up, give your name. 3 minutes is the limit. This gentleman, I did give him more. Go ahead, please.
Good evening, council members. My name is Issa Fawaz. I'm an attorney and a resident of Dearborn, Michigan. I believe Mr. Beydoun was severely and excessively abused by Dearborn Heights police officers February 3rd, 2020 in violation of his due process guaranteed by the 5th and 14th Amendments of the United States Constitution. What is especially troubling is that my client is mentally disabled, and the entire Dearborn Heights Police Department knows that. As the chief actually mentioned earlier, is that they have an issue pinpointing who's disabled and who is not. But Police Chief Gavin has lived on the same block a few houses down the street and has taunted him for years. And if you don't have to take my word for it, you can ask his sister, because she's here too. She's also going to be making a comment right after I do. Sam Beydoun suffers from mental illness, and he's been diagnosed as a paranoia schizophrenia. Mr. Beydoun is a father of 2. And he's a brother of the community. On February 3rd, he was arrested for reasons him and his family still do not know. When I heard Mr. Baydoun was arrested, I went and picked him up, and I did so without hesitation because I'm familiar with Mr. Baydoun's condition, and I know that a holding cell with no medication, surrounded by people he does not know, is a terrible place for him. In other words, scratch that, sorry. The police put him in a situation knowing it would be worse than physical torture. They know he's schizophrenic. Also, it is undisputed fact that Mr. Baydoun was held in custody for 69 hours while the police looked for something to charge him with. He was not provided with his medicine for 2 days. That should be an outrage not only to the members of the disability community, but also every resident in this community. When I arrived at the station to pick Mr. Baydoun up, the officer at the front desk refused to release him into my custody, and he said they were detaining him with no explanation and that they planned to bring felony charges against him. He has still not been charged with a felony nor any crime at all. I returned 3 days later, but when I saw Mr. Baydoun, I was deeply shocked, alarmed, and appalled to see that he was covered in bruises, scrapes, and was clearly in pain. He told me that the officers involved in the incident assaulted and tormented him while he was in custody. He repeatedly complained about the severe pain in his neck, and he was clutching it in objective agony. It's one thing for officers to exercise reasonable force to subdue uncooperative suspects, but it's a radically different scenario when multiple officers abuse a defenseless and schizophrenic man. In fact, this inhumane conduct is constitutionally forbidden, and immediately I requested the police report and all footage of the incident. This occurred at a public facility. They have cameras on every corner. There are cameras everywhere this guy went. And there are cameras tracking Mr. Baydoun's every move throughout this entire process. So why are we sitting here with no incident report and no footage at all? No footage at all. Through information and belief, this is a consistent problem with the Dearborn Heights Police Department, and I'm beginning to believe it's the training of the officers of this department that is mostly at fault. From what I have heard, there is no training in place for dealing with individuals that suffer mental illness. Even though the officer said that there was, I'm hearing otherwise. I do not stand here before you bashing police officers at all. The role of a police officer is crucial to enforce justice and peace in our society today. They put their lives on the line for us, in this community, but the good, righteous officers are subjected to hatred and scrutinized. And why? It's because of the rogue officers, such as the ones involved in this event. We stand before you today to end all rogue officers that use their badges to bully the citizens of our community and who oppress the innocent. People of the council, you are elected by the people and for the people. You are duty-bound to back us in our quest for justice for Mr. Baydoun. Because if we don't stand here together right now on this day, the future of our community and the future of our children, our families will suffer at the hands of corruption and oppression. We cannot allow politics to win the day. We need leadership. This audience behind me demands answers. I call on City Council to do 3 things ahead of the next meeting, which I will attend, and I'm sure the audience will grow in anticipation and size. Number 1, I demand that the police do their job and turn the official report over immediately. Number 2, I demand that the police and the lawyers turn over all video evidence from February 3rd, 2020, at the time of the incident until he was released, February 6th, 2020. All video including body cam, car cam, along with audio and all surveillance cameras inside the holding cell and City Hall. By next meeting, give the public as part of your agenda the police policy on dealing with persons with disabilities and what the police department has done to be compliant with the ADA, Americans with Disabilities Act. The next thing I would like to ask is for the people watching this today and the people who have attended this meeting, and I ask that you do not associate the atrocious acts of the rogue officers involved with this event with the real police officers that put their lives on the line every day and the ones that live up to their uniforms. The ones that I can call on when I feel threatened. These amazing officers serve and protect us and our community. And with that being said, I thank you all. And I also have a question. Mr. Mayor, are you taking questions at this time?
Sir, you need to address the mayor through me. Anybody? So you can ask me the question and I'll address it through him.
Okay.
Mayor, are you taking questions now?
Yeah, I assume so.
Okay.
Okay, and they do have to come through me to talk to any.
Yesterday, I served a spoliation letter in order to preserve the footage under federal law. And I was bringing it over here to City Hall, and I was met with a very, very unpleasant staff. And every single person I talked to said, go see the mayor, go see the mayor, go see the mayor. I brought it to the mail clerk, and I handed her it, and I'm like, stamp it and just put it in there. And you know what she did? She threw it back at me and said, go see the mayor. And I want to know why they wanted me to see the mayor, and the mail clerk wouldn't accept my letter.
Mayor, do you know?
No, this is the first I've heard of it.
Okay, all right. Point of order. There's a lot of people here, so let's keep quiet so we can hear what's going on.
Not saying this is the first of the incident, but this is the first of what you just.
Council Chair?
Sir,
Do you have it with you?
No, we're talking. Sir, do you have the names or who with you that you spoke with so we can?
Honestly, I wish I did, but if you look at the footage, which I'm sure we have access to, you can see who I talked to. I talked to about 6 staff members, very unpleasant people.
Do you know what departments?
And literally all over this place.
Wait, you said mail.
Okay, do you have the, no, let's keep order here. Do you have the letter that you
My
actually?
spoliation letter?
Yes.
The mayor has it now.
Do you, Mr. Mayor?
He probably doesn't have it on him, but.
Mayor, do you have it?
No, we got it as a register and we forwarded it on, yeah.
Okay. I have received it.
Thank you.
Okay, can I ask people to please turn their phones off? Okay, at this point, we're going to ask the mayor to answer the future questions.
No, that was kind of a very similar look that everybody, all the staff gave me.
I'm not giving you the look.
Okay, all right,
the
point of
council
order.
chair,
Do
the
not argue with
You
I'm sorry, do not argue with the gentleman.
It's the registered
Let's
agent.
move on.
Point of order, Madam Chair. You just called order and it continued. Please make.
You need to
we
stop
have
or you're going to have to
policies.
go in the hallway.
Thank you very much, thank you.
I know that's funny, but it's not.
There are policies. to
Okay,
conform to the order of the meeting.
okay, let's keep order, let's be calm here, okay? We're just gonna keep this calm. At this point, your time, sir, is up, and I apologize. And so he's gonna... Your name, please?
My name is Summer Beydoun. I've been a resident of the city of Dearborn Heights for 23 years. I'm the sister of Samar Beydoun, who was brutally attacked by an officer. And all he was doing was Samar was here paying his taxes, the duty that any citizen that resides here does. Paid his taxes, and on his way out wanted to speak to the mayor, so that way he can ask to get his library rights reinstated, because the librarians did not want to deal with him because he's mentally ill. My brother does have paranoid schizophrenia, and it's known by every single one of your police officers, especially the Chief of Police, Lee Gavin, who is his neighbor and has been for over 10 to 12 years been harassing him, jogs by his house, drives by his house on duty and off duty, harassing my brother every moment that he has. Why does Gavin think that he can call my brother Crazy Sam and label him in the community and to all the officers, even when they're called to my house or any other place, as Crazy Sam? Why can't my brother walk to the bank or to the pharmacy to get his prescriptions without one of them honking their horns at him and screaming out statements at him? Why was my brother arrested in the first place at City Hall? He was waiting and asked by the clerk, the mayor's clerk, to have a seat as she went to see if the mayor can speak to him. Moments later, he gets approached and gets brutally attacked after he was asked to leave and did what they asked him to do. Why did my brother sit there for 69 hours? And I called and I went there and I was given his house keys in my hand to go get his medication, in which I did. Why was he not given his medication? Why did he suffer almost 2 days with the jailers harassing him and throwing comments at him just to get him to react in jail? How is it the people of Dearborn Heights have a police department that lacks so much leadership that this culture of bullying a man with schizophrenia is accepted and has been happening for over more than 10 years, especially from Gavin? Actually, I know the answer to that one. To the last question that I asked you guys, the answer is because the so-called leadership has zero grassroots involvement with the residents of the city. That is why they are unable to build any citizen or police bridges. That is why they cannot lead. I ask for the city council to use your power to investigate this. I respectfully request that you demand the police department not to hide behind the lawyers, FOIA, or any ongoing investigation. Demand the police turn over all audio and video of the incident, and especially the incident report that has yet to be filed. I know as a citizen, when I've gotten in an accident in the city of Dearborn Heights, the incident report was ready the next morning. I'm not going out of my way. I am here and I want answers and justice for my brother, who will not leave his house now due to what happened. It took me 1 week to get my brother yesterday to the hospital to leave his house because he was afraid that somebody was gonna come from the officers and hurt him. My brother's head is swollen. His neck is swollen. He is traumatized. And I'm sorry, Ms. Hicks, that you lost your son, but my brother could be one of those guys that can be the next guy that will go over the edge. And I don't wanna lose my brother. I promise you one thing, I'll be back, and this community expects you, all of you up here, to support the citizens and not blindly back the mayor and the members of this police department that have clearly done wrong. Enough is enough. I'm done with this. They've done it way too long with him. We demand structural changes from the top down, not from the bottom up. We need courageous, ethical, and moral leadership. And one thing, if the chief is still here, he said that they gave training. What kind of training? To be somebody that can defend himself?
Let me ask the chief. Chief, would you like to answer that?
I'm sorry, what was the question?
What kind of training do you put the officers? Okay, point of order. Let's listen to what the chief has to say.
Well, I mean, obviously off the top of my head, I don't know exactly what training every specific officer has, but I can research it and get back with you.
That would be great, and I'll let you, if you give me your information, I'll let you know. Oh, so point of order, please. I'll find out and I'll let you know. Get me your information before you go.
I will do.
Thank you.
And one more question. When we posted a bond for the $200 when they released him to Mr. Fawaz, why wasn't a receipt given? Why isn't there no paper trail? This happened also with another incident that happened with him last summer, and I bailed him out, and also was not given a receipt, nor did they call him into court, nor did they charge him. Why? Coincidence? I think not. And one more point I would like to make to the council member before I let somebody else speak. Is it coincidence also that the day that my brother was released, the officer that brutally attacked him and that chest bumped him and asked him to leave when he started to leave, was acknowledged for heroism? And then today in the Dearborn Press and Guide also released as a hero? Are you guys just trying to build his character?
6 months.
6 months. It happened in September of 2019, and today being honored with it?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Your name, and you have 3 minutes.
Mustafa Theron. I'd like to talk to you guys about something. My nephew goes to Crestwood High School, and he's been receiving a lot of threats by a lot of kids over and over again. They tell him, we're coming to your house. They've chased him. We have video evidence, text messages. We tried to go to the Dearborn Heights police station. We were very rudely, they treated us very badly. They said, is your son hurt? Did anything happen to him? They wouldn't take a police report. They wouldn't talk to us. We're not sure what to do exactly. I mean, do we have to wait until our nephew gets stabbed, shot, killed, until something happens? I don't understand.
Chief, after the meeting, can you maybe talk to this gentleman and guide him? Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Name, and you have requested extra time.
Thank you. My name is Zuhair Abdelhat, 354 Rosemary, and I do have 6 kids. Thank you. Lots of these people in the community who know who I am, and they know my reputation, and I'm going to say it in gold. It's a 24 on 24 for anybody who understands what the 24 karat gold means. Last meeting, I came here and I spoke about some things related to the city. And I want to thank 6 of you who always, when I call them, they answer me. When I bring document, you sit with me, you give me time, you understand what I'm trying to accomplish, and you bring the issue to the city council if it was valid. And really, you spent with me, 6 of you, so much time. If you get paid for that time, it will be 25 cents an hour. So I thank you very much for everything you're doing for the city. I thank you for all the questions you bring in and the time you've given me to bring it here.
Excuse me, can I have somebody close that door back there? The conversation in the hallway is disrupting the meeting. Thank you.
After I spoke last meeting, I went to sit down. The mayor made a comment, and for his good luck, I didn't hear him at the time. I had to rely on the people who were in the room. Some of you said, I will take care of your kids. Some people said, you should take care of your kids. I want to ask our mayor if he has any knowledge of any of my 6 kids being arrested or had bad reputation or stole or did drug or did anything in the city for the last 27 years I lived in the city. I ask him, please tell the city if any one of the 6 kids done anything, I will move from the city, and I promise, I swear to God, I'll sell my house.
Mayor, would you like to answer that?
I wish to make no comment.
Okay.
Okay.
My kids worship the ground I walk on. And I don't want to go to the same level which this mayor stooped to bring family and kids to city business.
That's a shame.
And I really want to apologize to Christina Kramers because I don't mean to insult her or bring any bad news. But I remember when a woman came here and accused her of some things, the mayor said with his own tongue, I will not interfere in personal life of people. But he gave himself the power to talk about my kids inside the city hall, right here, in front of the whole city. He wants to tarnish my name, my reputation, that I am a bad father. My girl, Mayor, she's 4 pound 6, 9th grader at Crestwood. My son is on the national honor list. My kids all professionals, decent. And I don't want to stoop your level because I could, but I will not allow myself to put what I have in my hands. I just thank you guys for standing with me. He, even in the lobby, kept taunting me about my kids and I should spend time with my kids. I could say to everybody in the city, I kiss my kids every night. I see them, I eat dinners, I eat breakfast with them, I take them to movies, I take them to sports. More than anybody I can say, and especially him. So thank you, and I wish he stick to the issues like I do. But I am here, Mr. Mayor. I spend the time here because of my kids. Because if good doesn't do anything, evils will flourish. And that's all I have to say to you.
Thank you. Please state your name, and you have 3 minutes.
Thank you. My name is Farid Baidoun. Samer is my nephew. And when I heard of this incident, it broke my heart. And you see right now, I'm having a hard time speaking. As people entrusted by your community to protect them, and you end up doing what you did, I'm sorry, but you're a coward. You are a coward. Some of you know me, I'm a United States Marine. I served in the Persian Gulf War from 1990 and 1990. What I was taught as a man, as a Marine, you are to protect those who cannot protect themselves. Protect those who cannot protect themselves. And Mr. Bazzi, if I'm not mistaken, you are a Marine also, right, sir?
Yes, sir.
Semper Fi, sir.
Semper Fi.
And that's the essence of you wearing a uniform. You wear that badge, you need to humble yourself. Humble yourself and protect the citizens you are entrusted to protect. The most of us here love this country, love this community. I'm from Dearborn Heights. I feel we are in a lot of ways intertwined. I remember back in 1990, the city of Dearborn had some of the issues I believe you're having here. I was one of the individuals, if a lot of you here might remember, maybe you, Mr. Abdullah, 1990, when 13 kids from high school, last day at Fortson, were arrested and put in jail. I'm not going to go on a diatribe and explain everything that happened, but I know what it feels like to have a police officer degrade you, punish you. And I pleaded no contest to that incident so I can go serve my country. And when I hear of something like this happen to my family member, I'm sorry, there's going to be hell to pay.
Thank you.
This is not a physical threat. And one more thing I want to say to the members of the community. I apologize for saying this, but it's your fault. It is your fault. Understand, as Americans, all you have to do is get up and vote. Vote. No more of complaining. Get up and vote. Take your grandma who's 75 years old. Don't get lazy because there's a football game and you don't got time to go vote. Take her. That's another vote. All this rhetoric, all this talking means absolutely nothing if you don't utilize your right to vote, like individuals like that gentleman that stood in the back, myself, Mr. Bazzi, individuals that went and picked up an M16 A2 service rifle and stood out there in the desert and gave you the right to do. That's how you rectify the situation. You get up and vote. You can tell by some of these attitudes here, especially, I don't know who she is, I don't recall her name, that lady that stands back there with the eye roll. Get up and vote, get a new mayor. And when you get that new mayor, he'll get somebody that's going to respect the community.
Point of order. Thank you, sir.
I apologize for my tone, ma'am, but I'm an individual. Sometimes when I get going, I'm sorry. That roll, I can't stop.
Okay.
And of course,
thank you.
Mrs. Clayton Hicks, for your loss, I'm sorry for your loss, and God bless. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. At this time, I would like to direct the mayor I want to advise you to have our police chief start an investigation. We need to make sure everybody's rights are respected, and we will ensure you as a council that a fair and thorough investigation will be made by the proper authorities.
The investigation has already been started.
Thank you.
Public videos.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. Good evening. Okay, I'm so short. I'm sorry. Good evening, City Council, Mayor, and City of Dearborn Heights residents. Greetings from the office of Senator Betty Jean Alexander. I'm here to bring you guys some new information. We are offering pop-up service centers throughout the district. These convenience centers are provided with resources, including Michigan taxpayer guides, resources for complimentary tech services, and other valuable information. So bring your questions and your concerns. Our next pop-up service center will be Wednesday, February the 12th, from 6 to 8 p.m. at the Booker T. Dozier Recreational Center. That address is 2025 Middle Belt Road in Inkster, Michigan. The next date that we have is Saturday, February 22nd at 10 a.m. to noon at Eddie's Restaurant at 30149 Ford Road in Garden City. We would like to invite everyone to attend our very important town hall meeting, which is with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib, and the Congresswoman Debbie Dingell on Wednesday, February 19th at 6 p.m. at Annapolis High School. That address is 4650 Clippard, Dearborn Heights. Updates on the project and funding will be provided. In addition, we would like to announce the spring town hall meetings on auto insurance reform. Monday, April the 20th at 6 p.m. at Redford Branch, Detroit Library at 21200 Grand River Boulevard, Detroit 48219. And Monday, May the 18th at 6 p.m. at the Caroline Kennedy Library at 24990 24950 George Street, in Dearborn Heights. The Auto Insurance Town Hall will feature a panel of experts which will provide updates regarding changes to our auto insurance. I know. Also about our proposed budget, Governor Gretchen Whitmer proposed for the 2020 to 2021 fiscal year budget an increase of $225 per pupil for districts now receiving the minimum foundation allowance and a $150 increase for those at the top. The per pupil increase uses a formula that gives the lowest funded districts 1.5 times the amount the highest funded districts receive. Republicans in the legislature traditionally use a 2 times formula. Ms. Whitmer's proposal would narrow the per pupil funding gap by $343. As always, you can contact us at 517-373-0994. That number again is 517-373-0994. If you have any questions or need to find out the dates, I'll be standing to the side.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can you give me the Caroline Kennedy Library date and time again?
Yes, sure. Monday, May the 18th at 6 p.m.
Thank you.
Yep, no problem. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further public comment? State your name and you have 3 minutes.
Good evening, Steve Chisholm from State Representative Jewel Jones' office. Our contact number is 517-373-0849. Greetings, honorable body and citizens of Dearborn Heights. This week, the legislation, both Senate and House, been going through about 14 bills, but one that I thought was important because Councilman Wenzel always has the veterans stand up to be honored for their service to the United States. I wanted to inform you that they have one called a license plate exemptions for disabled veterans. That House bill number, so that you can follow it, is 4551, and then the duplicate bill is 4552. And basically what it is in favor of is to allow totally disabled veterans to use the disabled veteran license plate or a license plate tab or other indicator to access state parks and use disabled parking spots. So you may or may not have been aware of that already, but I at least wanted to let you know. I know that's something that's dear and near to you, and to all the veterans here, I appreciate everything that you've done for the country, for the opportunities you've presented myself and everyone in this room and across the nation with. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Your name and you have 3 minutes.
Nancy Breyer, Colgate Street. I would like to respond to your suggestion of having a safety group or commission. I would be very happy to serve on that. Also, speaking about our groups, I just heard at the funeral, Lisa's, that there already had been a meeting for the Women's Commission. I've been on the commission for over a year. I've never been invited to a meeting.
Wait a minute. We made many
Wait,
attempts
please
to
be recognized. Point of order. Let the residents speak.
I have had at least 5 emails in the last 3 days talking about a meeting and other women, what time they would be available, and I've responded to that. There was also something that came from yourself, Mayor, that said there was an agenda. None was attached to my email, and I did respond to you that I did not receive that today.
Okay.
So I'm a little concerned about the miscommunication.
Publish it on the website.
Okay, thank you very much.
Actually, Mayor, can we get that published on our community website so there's no question about when the meetings are?
Madam Chair, do I have a follow-up to that, what
Councilwoman
you
Hicks
just
Clayton?
said, because we have on the website a calendar, and what I do, and most of you know I work for Senator Alexander, and we go and I look at every other municipalities that's in our district, their calendars, which are filled. You look at ours, all due respect, you look at ours and there's like, what, maybe 3, 4, 5, 6 things. I mean, it's very limited. And I think it would be really important to put the commission meetings on there and other information, not just city council meetings, but everything, because they are open to the public, whether you serve on the commission or not. So I think that's a great way if we my recommendation, respectfully, is to better utilize that calendar.
And it was discussed at the meeting, and Dana Mohammed is taking the lead on that and making the communication. But unless Stephanie from my office, and I have no reason to believe that she was not being truthful, made numerous attempts and kept telling me that she was unable to get a hold of me. After the meeting, I was going to mention to you, I don't know why that problem, but we got a hold of everybody else. And I asked the commission members to make contact with Nancy so that her and one of the members is a flight attendant, that they schedule the meetings so that everybody can handle. But they're also going to utilize the website.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Any further public comment? Your name in 3 minutes.
Eric Kawada. I'm just curious, I want to ask the mayor a question. What's the show of force about outside with all the police officers?
That's for, we have these at our meetings. They are sergeant at arms.
All of them?
Yes.
20 officers that can
Well,
walk
2 of
into
them are in
the-
training tonight.
I'm scared to walk out of here right now.
You shouldn't.
You should feel safe. I know, I don't. You
No.
spend people's families.
They do come to our meetings. They are called the sergeant at arms, and tonight we have,
officers?
I don't, is there 20 out there?
15, I mean, everybody here's seen them. I mean, especially I'm commenting, I'm scared to walk out because of this guy.
No, you'll be, I'll walk you out, no problem. Okay, point of order. Any other public comment? State your name, and you have 3 minutes.
Suzanne Todd, Academy Street. I'm sorry, I don't have my paper here, so if I stutter and stammer, I'm very sorry. I'm not a very good public speaker. I came to this meeting with a lot to say, but I have only 2 things to say. This is the first I'm hearing about your son, and I am so sorry. I can't even begin to imagine what it's like to lose a child. I think the man sitting to your right is about the only one that knows what that feels like. I am so sorry, Lisa. I'm sorry I did not know. My prayers are with you.
Thank you.
The second item I'd like to make, I'm kind of concerned that our police chief can't give us a rundown on how their officers are supposed to react to mentally ill patients. I was in mental health nursing for 12 years. I dealt with a lot of violent patients, but we were trained how to handle these patients so they were not hurt and we were not hurt. And I'm very dismayed that this training can't be rattled off as to what they're doing when the police chief was asked. And the part of police officers harassing a schizophrenic person and putting him in a jail, oh my God, without his medicine, I'm sorry, that's torture. I've worked with these patients for 12 years, and this really needs to be investigated because it's just not right.
Thank you. State your name, and you have 3 minutes, please.
My name's Moses DeCruz. I got a question for the police chief. When Dearborn police calls come through and they know that they've been to a certain house or a certain person before, they say over the radio that we've been here before, he has mental issues. Do they have that protocol in Dearborn Heights?
Let me ask the chief. Chief, do you have that protocol here?
If the information's known in the database, that information is given to us.
Okay, thank you.
That's all I wanted.
Thank you. Any further public comment? Tonight, I would like to thank everyone for coming out and taking their time. Do I hear a motion?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned. Have a good night, everyone.